for you to pretend or to say that you support Kalonzo Musyoka without supporting Raila Odinga. A victory for Raila Odinga is a victory for Kalonzo Musyoka and the whole of Kenya.
My party leader has Jubilee right in his bedroom. Jubilee members have been elected in Kitui. What is more than that to take political responsibility? So I urge people who were once allies to tread carefully.
It defeats logic for you to pretend or to say that you support Kalonzo Musyoka without supporting Raila Odinga. A victory for Raila Odinga is a victory for Kalonzo Musyoka and the whole of Kenya.
My party leader has Jubilee right in his bedroom. Jubilee members have been elected in Kitui. What is more than that to take political responsibility? So I urge people who were once allies to tread carefully.
Just in case you didn't hear it the first time, we had to play it again. And welcome back to Jeff Kinange Live. We're on the bench with former Mombasa Senator Hassan Omar. And that soundbite over there, or the series of soundbites, sounds like a Jaguar song, as in Kigeu Geu. What changed?
The second soundbite, which you played, is a context. You know, I went to deliver my resignation letter to Kalonzo on Wednesday. And I decided to keep quiet about it. On Thursday, he had some certain interventions telling me, hang on to it, let's have a discussion on Friday, together with my brother, Senator Wetangula. So what happened, I put it in a forum discussion, asking a couple of friends in my group, what do you think about this letter and whether we should backtrack or reconsider this decision? So a few of my friends trickled it out and it went viral. I got a flurry of phone calls from media personalities who wanted me to commentate. I said I will not speak against people I was allied to just the other day. Friday morning, I'm sitting, I'm looking at a press conference saying I didn't deliver, saying all sorts of manners of accusations, and I was like, I played it with decorum. I tried to restrain myself.
Yeah, and yet
they said, oh, he must take political responsibility. So I decided, if they want an ounce of response from me, they will get it. So on Monday, when I gave my press conference, a media person threw it that it was said in the Wiper press conference that you are supposed to take political responsibility in courts for not delivering Mombasa.
Yeah.
I said, if I am to take political responsibility, at least there's no Jubilee here. We have a Wiper, a member of parliament, we have a Wiper, a member of the county assembly. At least there's something. But for me, if I today was a presidential candidate on a presidential ticket, for you to have 3-4 members of parliament from Kitui who are not my party or from Mombasa asks about your capacity to consolidate your own backyard.
Sounds like you have a lot of regrets.
Not regrets, my brother. It's just that you learn. This is what I call experiential knowledge. You see, for me, this stint of politics, 4.5 years, was a learning curve. And I have no regrets about learning. When you learn, you improve yourself. And in terms of forecasting yourself, you're able to see a deeper horizon. So anybody who thinks that there was no point or basis for me having been in the gubernatorial race is deluding himself.
Okay, but my colleague Willis Raburu wanted me to ask you this question. He says, was this man mad going up against the Sultan?
They say people who change societies often are mad. You have to have an element of madness. I used to remember Maina Kiai saying that if you're too composed and too unable to take risks, calculated risks, sometimes uncalculated, but which tend to drive a point home about standing up for certain principles. It was just not about the Sultan. You know, there was everything negative about the Sultan. And it was condoned. And I thought, and we thought, with the little team that we had an historical obligation to be able to counter, these not dominant narratives, that it is okay to forge your degree, that it is okay not to clean your city, that it is okay to fail but to love Raila. But we said there is the long-term survival of Mombasa County. Devolution was brought here to illuminate our cities. It was brought here for service delivery. It was brought here for social justice. It was brought here for some of those lofty ideas about making people better off, about the poor getting dignity. So we thought these are what the anchorage of devolution was about. That's why I think in my assessment. I got this also from Professor Nyong, that he thinks we probably authored the best manifesto of any of the gubernatorial candidates that we had.
Yeah, but he got 38% of the vote. He was voted unanimously, despite the fact that you had an allegedly better manifesto.
Seriously, let me tell you, we've gone to court. You know, I called my team on Thursday, the 10th, 2 days after elections, and I told them, we must be Democrats. We must accept this defeat, and we must move on graciously. But they brought to my attention that it was NASA that called you on the 9th and told you there's a lot of evidence of vote tampering in Mombasa. It is NASA and Raila Odinga in his first press conference on the 9th of August who said there's evidence of vote tampering in Mombasa. It cannot be that on the 22nd, during Joho's inauguration, all that evidence has been swept under the carpet somewhere. Then as you progress, because then factors started to act differently, when you progress, you wait for, say, let me wait for the Supreme Court decision. I was in fact scheduled to leave for the UK to start, exploring some opportunities. I wanted to write a book, and I wanted to pursue further education fellowship at JKL, because I had lost out on some considerable amount of time in terms of personal development. That was genuine. So when then the Supreme, as the evidence in the Supreme Court played out, and as people, my people in my secretariat felt that there was something that didn't make sense about the results. Now evidence started trickling in. One person opens his mouth. People in custody start to tell you what they did. They can't contain a secret within more than a person himself. Yeah. So as new evidence started to come to our desk, people started to compile a litany of evidence that actually suggested there was fraud, like any other part of this country, on the Mombasa vote.
Look, they say hindsight is 20/20. We all know that. Had you ran as senator again for re-election, you'd be in right now, hands down.
Dynamics of politics inform themselves differently. Maybe there would have been a different dynamic.
Okay, let's look at this
Let
dynamic.
me tell you though.
Wait, so let's, for argument's sake, you'd have been in. Joho would have been in as governor, and he wouldn't be able to run again in 22. That would be a shoo-in for you. Do you regret that?
I have no regrets. Everybody who knows me knows by 2015, mid-2015, I had made up my mind not to run for Senate. So it wasn't an issue. People in my inner core knew that I had made up my mind not to run for Senate. Reason being, I had come from a background that was more technical, that I felt myself putting up a plan, following through the execution, and seeing results. When I went to the Senate, it was more of a collegiate. I tried to prosecute a bill. It took me 2 years, and yet it didn't see the light of day. It's about who tells you to come and vote for what bill, who nominates what.
So you were bored.
So I thought that was not for me. So in fact, what initially I did, and that's why Mombasa people said, oh, the senator is almost absent. I decided probably to play into the National Secretariat, to reorganize CORD, at that time CORD, for the presidential onslaught in 2022, and then help to influence the executive architecture so that we can have a country that responds in terms of social justice, in terms of social democracy, to ensure that we lift the lives of our people and make them better off. Because I think the orientation is that we must put ideology into our politics. Yeah. So I thought, as one of the most basic units of organization, then that's when the idea came out, that most of these lofty ideas that we are talking about are actually articulated in the part 2 of the 4th schedule, which is the functions of county government.
Tell me something. What is your relationship with the Sultan?
I have no relationship with him. In terms of, he's a friend. If I met him, I would say hello to him.
That's it.
But that's about the regard.
When's the last time you talked to him?
When's the last time I talked to him? Amamangina.
That day?
I just confronted him and told him, this is what you're doing is not right. Yeah. It's bullshit. Yeah. I told him that.
You did?
I did.
What did you say?
You know, he acts like he can fight everybody.
Do you think you are contesting this? You're petitioning it?
You know, it's a question of right, huh? It's doing the right thing. After all compilation of evidence was put forth, Forms 37A that declared results, and the final IBC tally shows differently. Suleiman Shaba, 163 votes. Hassan Omar 66 votes, Hassan Joho 02 votes, 2. And then in the final form 37B, not C, the results are totally different. So, and it's not only one, it's a series of forms. Forms unsigned, forms unstamped. And then we have evidence that we believe demonstrates that at least 68,000 to about 80,000 votes were stuffed. And this comes from people who, in my regard, are called whistleblowers. So we want to see how to prosecute this evidence. All we are asking from the courts, if they are hopefully not compromised, is to grant a scrutiny of the Kim's kit and a scrutiny of the votes and a recount of those votes. That's simple.
Okay.
So that we ascertain ourselves. You see, Jeff, if you don't know how somebody won or stole, what's the point of running in the next election? That was the ratio decidendi. That was the logic upon NASA, why NASA went to court, to ensure that they sought electoral justice. And that's one of the things that actually really pissed me off about Kalonzo. When I went to see him on Wednesday of last week, he tells me, don't go to court. We'll sit with Joho. You will be the next governor of Mombasa. And I'm like, seriously? People who make people governor of Mombasa, the electorate, not armchair discussions. And I can tell you for a fact, it was, I also know how, if the results as they are to stand, you really know where your votes came from, and you start to pursue some of those votes. Yeah.
If Kalonzo's watching you right now, and he probably is, what would you tell him? Were you disappointed in him?
I think he's a politician, and he took his gamble. He probably didn't pay off, because Wiper is fairly decimated. I believe Musila would have been a stronger candidate than Malombe. I worked hard to ensure that the results of Musila's victory were restored by the National Elections Board. That was thwarted. I tried very much. In fact, there's a clip that you played where I had the NASA cap. That day I invited Mudama back. Probably we'll have the senator of Machakos back. So I think parties sometimes must also tend to accommodate the diversities and allow some intra-party democracy. And where results suggest that there's a stronger candidate, you must allow the stronger candidate to prevail. And now Musila is in Jubilee. Is he? Yes. Okay, there's a difference between supporting Uhuru and being in Jubilee. Okay. Where is Hassan Omar stand right now? Are you in Jubilee? I asked you whether you were a mole. You didn't quite answer. No, I did answer that question, my brother. You said... First and foremost, I will answer that question with a lot of audacity. Okay. This small politics, and I said it in my press conference, is a poverty narrative. Jeff, since last year, I knew I was going to run for Mombasa governorship. And I knew the tab, or the cost of running for Mombasa governor. Even when I asked my wife, I told her we might require this 200 million. She said it can be raised because, you become ambitious. I put together a litany of business people, disgruntled, supportive, people who forward-looking, who I came up with a progressive narrative for Mombasa County. I know how to raise money for politics. I have raised money before. I've raised money for the KNCHR. You sell a good idea, people buy the good idea. So whenever you see people doing things in a certain dimension, you're supposed to, if Jeff Koinange does not have money, the only other explanation that he can have that money is William Ruto or Jubilee or Eurobond. I think what's happening, we must desist from that kind of narrative. We must be progressive and entrepreneurial. And I gave I remember Kanini Kega and some of the young politicians from Central will always take a chopper. When they take that chopper, $6,000 divided by 5, $1,200. They say they go and do their politics. Everybody's happy. They're entrepreneurial. Probably they're thinking, the people are thinking, why don't they own that chopper? Ken Obura, Agostino Neto, Sylvans wants to do the same thing. The minute they land that chopper, they do the same thing. We all did that when we were in Parliament. The next thing is their moles, their Jubilee, they're being funded by Eurobond. So at what point do we enterprise and start talking about issues? So I think for me, that narrative is so archaic. That's one of the things that I looked at. And some of the donors who supported us were people who have actually supported Raila Odinga in the past. I remember one of them told me, Raila indicated to me that you're funded by William Ruto, and I asked him, is it true? He said, I told him, I fund part of your campaign and I know who else funds this campaign. So for you to accept that you crush young people just because they have money to run a campaign, what did you expect me to do? And I will run a campaign, in the next campaign I will run, I'll have the funds to do it.
And yet you stuck on to Wiper, you stuck on to NASA, despite your saying you were being stifled or you weren't allowed to be yourself, if you will.
You know, there's a point in life which you say of no return. You have already secured the Wiper nominational ticket. You are 3 months to the elections. Systems are self-propelling. They are only forward-moving. They are not backward-moving. So what else are you left with? What else are you left with? You're left to pursue this objective to the very end.
Reluctantly?
No, audaciously, not reluctantly. You put more energy.
Okay, what do you think of two parties vying for the same position? Wasn't that a little dumb?
There wasn't anything dumb about it. I assured everybody that Jubilee had no chance of taking that seat, and that's exactly what happened.
But you had two Wipers going, I mean, two Nasserites going for it.
But it was not one of those seats that would be jeopardized on the basis of two people running against one another. It was a question of internal contestation of ideas. So, the reason I personally had issues about joint nominations was I knew what nominations mean for our parties. Everybody was disgruntled in many of the nominations that took place in the mainstream parties. Yeah. So what you do, deliver your candidate to the ballot and let the ballot speak.
NASA is threatening not to go ahead with the October 17th election unless some of the demands are met, including the resignation of IEBC CEO Ezra Chiloba. Your thoughts?
I think some of those demands are reasonable. If I had issues going into an election because of 1, 2, 3, 4 things, it is only fair that going into the next phase of a repeat election, that those things are mitigated and taken care of. So if you don't take care of those issues, then it is likely that the same mistakes will be repeated and the same grievances will be taken to the Supreme Court.
Should Chiloba resign?
Chiloba has been a great friend of mine. I was in the KNCHR and I know him with him. He was an officer there when I was a commissioner. He's an extremely honest young man. I have had nothing but respect for him. In fact, when he was appointed CEO, I actually was the one who took him to meet Raila Odinga upon his own request so that he can try to start having a dialogue or a conversation. My view is that the political heat is too much. I don't think his resignation will mean any responsibility on his part. It will just mean that you're taking responsibility for the failed elections and you're doing the most honorable thing. So my view is that Chiloba will save this country a lot of hula baloo, ease the tensions, and probably secure credible elections if he, as a friend, steps aside and allowed a process that was fairly transparent and which is acceptable to almost all parties.
Yeah, you're still part of NASA?
Absolutely.
Are you all going to go ahead with the October 17th election?
Well, is there a choice? The October 17th elections will take place. And if somebody decides not to participate, that's a different issue altogether. I resigned as Secretary General of Wiper. I didn't resign from Wiper.
Correct.
So therefore, if Chiloba, if NASA does not meet some of its demands, it is likely that NASA will boycott the elections. But if NASA boycotts the elections as it's threatening, Jubilee will proceed to vote. They have proceeded to vote to open the assembly, the parliament. They will proceed with business of parliament. What we will deny is legitimacy. But in African democracies, do we care about legitimacy?
No, we don't.
Absolutely.
Would you join Jubilee if they asked you?
I can say this for a fact. I believe in politics, there are no permanent enemies. And I can tell you, I talked to you just before we started this program. If I was to accept the Mombasa gubernatorial results, 32,000 people did not vote for Suleiman Shahbal, who voted for Uhuru Kenyatta. 32,000. If politics is about numbers. About 12,000 people did not vote for Joho, who voted for Raila Odinga. These votes total to about 44,000 or thereabout. So 30,000 people either voted for me and voted for Uhuru Kenyatta, or voted for Uhuru Kenyatta and me. So therefore, there is a shift in my base. That the people who accepted my message were more of the Jubilites rather than the Nasserites. Politics is pragmatism. If I'm to follow and consolidate a base, I must start with what I have in hand. I've done all the analysis. Just go to the portals of IBC and judge for yourself. So all these guys who are ranting on the social media that your life is over, your politics is over, they never voted for me. They're just ranting. When I was in NASA, they ranted. When I was pursuing an active political ambition, now that I've said I've taken a break, they're ranting. And you know, you don't know what they're looking for. So doomed if you do, doomed if you don't.
That's it.
So I think what's happened is people will have to take progressive steps. Let's look. Raila, in his reform credentials, I once went to him, I told him, Mzee, why, and with Jim Orengo at Serena, God can bear with me witness, you're taking too many bad people, in quotes, into the NASA or a court dream. How then will you be able to change the country? They told me, oh, we can use these people to achieve our objective. So what's wrong with me using bad people to achieve my objective?
I didn't know you were going there.
Seriously. You see, I mean, what is good for the goose must be good for the gander.
Okay. Isaac Ruto, the fifth principal, does terribly in Bomet. Now he's back in Jubilee.
Isaac Ruto is not in Jubilee. He's supporting Uhuru Kenyatta's presidency. I'm trying to drive that point home. Let me tell you. In fact, I met Isaac Ruto supporters on Saturday.
Yes.
They were very angry about the vitriol by some of our Nasserites on the social media.
Yes.
They said, siasa si deni, tumepiga hesabu, tukaingia NASA, tukanaswa, tukaona hesabu yetu mbaya. Even today I met Ntutu, the guy who ran for governor of Narok. He told me, sisi tulienda mbele, kumbe watu wetu wakabaki nyuma. So we just have to retreat back. He told me that, Ntutu himself. He says, lakini kwa nini watu wanaona ni deni? Even me. Si wadai, hamunidai. So it's not a debt, it's about pragmatism. It's about what strategies work for you. So when you insult Isaac Ruto, say, after all he added no value, after all he's nobody, after all he's a casualty of struggle. You didn't know that when he came in at Uhuru Park, end of May, you cheered him. So why, I mean, you can't cheer somebody today and then pour vitriol on him 3 months later.
You say there's no such thing as permanent enemies in politics, right? So when people turn around and call all of you all political prostitutes, what do you tell them?
Nobody turns around to call anybody political prostitute.
They're saying that. You guys are jumping around parties like jumping, you know, customers.
Look, let me tell you. I personally have taken an assessment. Some of these people wasn't Mudavadi Amol, wasn't Kalonzo Musyoka Watermelon, wasn't Wetangula something else, I don't know what insect or fruit they called him. And they're now coalescing together. I think what politics does, it's a very dynamic game, it moves. And one thing that remains permanent is interest. For me, what I find fundamentally critical about politics is to keep your values. It's not to steal the ethos of integrity, good government. And therefore, you will find that in life, let me tell you this. I was doing an analysis of the people elected, let's say from Mombasa or Coast Region. So you see Mishimboko, you see Aisha Jumwa, you see Hassan Joho, you see Dori and the rest of them. And then you look at Rift Valley, but there Rift Valley does very well in terms of the people it elects. You see Sang on one side, you see Professor Kamar there, you see Sholay there, if you see Professor Chepkonyi there, see Dr. Labostro there. Literally a roll call of dons from Egerton and Moy University. So if you really want a discourse to sit down and talk about the master plan for 10 years, would you go to Mishimboko or would you go to Dr. Kamar? So it's a question of sometimes building an alliance of like minds across the political spectrum. There exist bad people in Jubilee, there exist good people in Jubilee. There exist good people in CORD or NASA. There exist bad people in CORD or NASA. There exist thieves across the political spectrum. I was hearing this Tanzanian legislators telling Magufuli kwamba tumejua wivi hawana chama. Kwa hivyo tunaweza kushikana sisi. So if today you are looking at a matrix or complexion of who you want to have a narrative of like-mindedness, you have to look at people who, when you start a conversation, or you say, go and write a one-pager of what our thoughts are, they will actually bring a one-pager.
One more question before we go to break. Peter Munya loses miserably in Meru.
Not miserably, he tried.
He lost. Jumped to NASA.
He tried.
Campaigned over a weekend, lasted a week and a day. 8 days. He's back in Jubilee. Isn't that?
I think what's happened, the country is taking, or the politics is crystallizing.
Crystallizing? What
Let me tell you. Let me tell you. For Peter,
this is like Koinange Street on a good day.
Peter Munya, I'm not trying to defend his actions. What I'm saying about Peter Munya, he must have gone back home. And when he said NASA, people are looking at him like you must be mad.
Yes.
NASA, you must be mad. And it applies the same way. So he found it difficult to fight against the grain. It takes a lot of courage sometimes to fight against the grain. Even I come from a predominantly NASA stronghold. But sometimes it's about living with certain ideas and values and living against the grain. And in fact, my strategy now approaching 2022 is fairly different. I'll not be trying to entice an ethnic warlord or an ethnic lord so that I can get his community votes. I'll try to attack the middle. I've realized in Mombasa there's an expanding middle. That expanding middle, of essence, is a local group there that can listen to reason, that can listen to ideology, that can listen to ideas. It's just that I saw it was expanding towards the end of the election season, but it was still too little, probably too late. So if you start that conversation early enough, and then ultimately, when you get to around 2022, you'll just see what more top-up do I need. If these guys can bring the top-up, well and good. If these guys can bring the top-up. In fact, I think I would have fared better if I ran as an independent candidate.
Tell me something real quick. Would you attribute Joho's popularity to? Was it the president who helped him out?
The president, I kept saying that so many times. I kept saying, Uhuru should just leave this guy to us. I kept saying it so many times that just leave it be, let it be. And he did the right thing. He capitalized on a president who wanted to engage him on a dogfight. And I think even when Jubilee commentators look back, they know that they did massive mistakes in how they handled him. So I think if they continue the adversarial, in fact, when he invites war, you must invite a counter-narrative. You must disarm the issues that he uses to escalate ethnic or regional emotions. The marginalization narrative, the alienation narrative. You must now appear to visibly, bridge those gaps by putting in a program of action that does not focus on adversity, but it focuses on delivering to the people of Mombasa.
When he calls himself the Sultan of Mombasa, the Sultan of Coast Province. Is he the Sultan? Is he the undisputed leader?
I really do not know. He is a Sultan to his crew. Even I am a Sultan somewhere. You never know. It's called. But you see, the thing is, there are guys who regard him probably in the Sultan way. There are a lot of people who think, when I was doing my analysis, my science, we realized that between the age groups of 18 to 24, young women, he was too popular because they liked his bling. They liked his cap, his pants, his Joho, his brand. And my guys kept telling me, man, we have to leave, there's this 18. I said, man, I'm 41, just about 3 years older than Joho, younger than Joho. Don't expect a cap on me every day and some pants. Reasonable standard is that I put on formally, and people must start to listen to my idea rather than my dress.
He wants to be president in 22.
Would you vote for him?
I'm asking you.
Would you vote for him?
I'm asking you.
I think there's a point at which the joke must end.
Wow. Time to take a break. Oh my, oh my. Where's my fire extinguisher? Did we renew the fee with the... Anyway.
Seriously, let me... Jeff.
Yeah. You want to hold that thought?
There's Kenya out there. You look at the typical presidential candidate. A across the board, the ones who have some merit and have contested presidential elections, unless Kenyans are just going to have a Trump moment, if that Trump moment does not come, there is a reasonable standard upon how we elect a president.
I hear you. Let's take a break, come back, plenty more ahead. We're going to read some tweets and texts and Facebook posts, talk some more with the man. What's next for you? You said you may want to write a book. You may go to Yale for another year or so. Is that what the options?
That's one of the, well, that's quite high on the table.
Really?
But also, I will have to make an impact in the 17th election.
Yeah?
Absolutely. I cannot stay silent.
I have a title for your book, if you'll take it from me. You ready?
Please do.
Wiped Out. Let's take a break, come back, keep tweeting. Monica, what are the numbers like? And the poll, Monica, what are the numbers like? The Mashuka, oh, it's 76% say yes, you are a little over ambitious, 24% say no. Keep tweeting, texting, 22422. Twitter handles are at Koinange Jeff, at Hassan Omar H, at Citizen TV Kenya. The hashtag, as always, JK Live. JK Live takes a break, plenty more ahead. We'll be back in a moment.
You're watching JKL, brought to you by Telcom.